Washington State is a place where you can wake up in a temperate rainforest, eat lunch on the edge of a massive volcanic crater, and watch the sunset over a desert canyon, all in a single day. It's a land of impossible contrasts, where the emerald green of the mossy forests meets the deep glacial blues of the high alpine lakes. But there's one specific spot, a hidden alpine meadow tucked away in the shadow of a giant, where the wildflowers bloom so thick you can't see the ground, and most people miss the best trail to get there. I'm counting down the 10 most incredible things you need to experience in Washington, and my number one pick? It's a place that will make you feel like you've stepped directly into a landscape painting. Starting us off at number 10 is the charming, slightly surreal town of Leavenworth. Imagine you're driving through the rugged, jagged peaks of the Cascade Mountains, and suddenly you round a bend and find yourself in a traditional Bavarian village. I'm talking about timber-framed buildings, flower boxes overflowing with geraniums, and the smell of sizzling bratwurst and fresh pretzels wafting through the air. Originally a struggling logging town, the community decided to reinvent itself in the 1960s, and they didn't half-step it. Even the local gas stations and grocery stores are built in the Bavarian style. If you visit in the winter, the entire town is draped in over 500,000 Christmas lights, making it feel like a literal snow globe. My local secret? Skip the crowded main drag for a bit and head to the waterfront park. It's a series of quiet trails along the Wenatchee River where you can see salmon spawning in the fall. It's the perfect place to enjoy that gingerbread you just bought while listening to the rushing water. But don't get too comfortable in the village, because number 9 takes us to a place of raw, thundering power. At number 9, we're heading to the iconic Snoqualmie Falls. You might recognize this massive 270-foot waterfall from the opening credits of the cult classic show Twin Peaks, but seeing it in person is a completely different experience. The sheer volume of water plunging over the cliffs is enough to make the ground vibrate beneath your feet. Most people just walk to the upper observation deck, snap a photo, and leave. Don't do that. Take the half-mile trail down to the base of the falls. You'll hike through an ancient forest of Douglas fir and western hemlock, and once you reach the bottom, the mist from the falls will coat your skin in a cool, refreshing layer. It's powerful, it's loud, and it's deeply humbling. This is a sacred site for the Snoqualmie people, who believe the mist from the falls carries prayers up to the spirits. You can truly feel that energy when you're standing there. This is a great year-round stop, but if you go after a heavy rain or during the spring snowmelt, the falls transform into a terrifyingly beautiful wall of whitewater. It's a spectacular sight, but wait until you see the colors of the landscape at number 8.
Number 8 takes us away from the mountains and into the rolling heart of eastern Washington, the Palouse. This isn't the Washington you see on postcards, but it's just as breathtaking. Imagine thousands of acres of steep, rolling silt dunes covered in wheat, barley, and lentils. Depending on the season, the hills are either a vibrant, electric green or a deep, shimmering gold. It looks like a massive, undulating velvet blanket. For the absolute best view, you have to drive to the top of Steptoe Butte State Park. From the summit, you're standing over 3,600 feet up, looking down at a 360-degree panorama of the most productive grain-growing region in the world. The way the shadows play across the hills during the golden hour just before sunset is a photographer's dream. It's quiet, it's vast, and it feels like a different world entirely. Most people think Washington is all evergreen trees and rain, but the Palouse proves there is so much more to the story. Coming in at number 7 is Deception Pass State Park. This is Washington's most visited state park for a reason. It's where the high-energy waters of the Puget Sound are forced through a narrow gap between Whidbey Island and Fidalgo Island. Standing on the iconic high-arched bridge that connects the two islands is a dizzying, heart-pounding experience. You're nearly 180 feet above the water, looking down at massive whirlpools and churning currents that look like a giant washing machine. The sound of the water rushing through the pass is a constant low roar. My favorite way to experience this spot is to hike down to Rosario Beach to see the Maiden of Deception Pass carving, then head over to West Beach for a bonfire as the sun dips below the horizon of the Salish Sea. Keep your eyes peeled for bald eagles circling above and harbor seals bobbing in the kelp forests below. It's a place of high drama and incredible coastal beauty, but we're about to head to a place that redefined the landscape of the entire Pacific Northwest.
Number 6 is a visit to Mount St. Helens National Volcanic Monument. Most of us have seen the footage from the 1980 eruption, but standing on the edge of the blast zone puts the scale of that event into a perspective you just can't get from a TV screen. When you drive up to the Johnston Ridge Observatory, you are looking directly into the gaping crater of the volcano. You can see the lava dome steaming and the hummocks, massive chunks of the mountain that were thrown miles away during the landslide. What's truly incredible, though, is the resilience of nature. You'll see thousands of gray bleached logs still floating in Spirit Lake, but you'll also see vibrant wildflowers and young forests pushing through the ash. It's a landscape of destruction and rebirth. If you're feeling adventurous, you can actually hike through the Ape Cave, a 2-mile-long lava tube formed nearly 2,000 years ago. It's pitch black and stays a constant 42 degrees, so bring a headlamp and a jacket. This is the kind of place that stays with you. But the top 5? That's where things get truly legendary.
Opening our top 5 is the heartbeat of the state, Seattle and the Pike Place Market. Now I know what you're thinking. Isn't that just a tourist trap? Absolutely not. Pike Place is the soul of the city. To do it right, get there early, around 8 a.m. before the cruise ship crowds arrive. The air smells like a mix of roasting coffee, fresh sourdough, and salty Puget Sound air. You have to see the fishmongers throwing salmon, sure, but the real magic is in the lower post levels. It's a labyrinth of oddity shops, vintage bookstores, and hidden magic shops. Grab a piroshki from Piroshki, find a quiet bench overlooking the Great Wheel and the ferries crossing the water, and just soak it in. And yes, you should probably see the Space Needle, but for a better view of the skyline that actually includes the Space Needle, head to Cary Park on Queen Anne Hill. When the sun hits the glass skyscrapers and Mount Rainier is out in the background, there is no more beautiful city in the world. For number 4, we're hopping on a ferry and heading to the San Juan Islands. This is where you go to find island time. The pace of life slows down the moment you drive onto that boat. While there are 172 named islands in the archipelago, San Juan Island itself is the place to be. Head to Lime Kiln Point State Park, also known as Whale Watch Park. It is one of the best places in the world to see wild orcas right from the shore. You can literally sit on the rocks and watch these massive, intelligent creatures swim by just yards away. The sound of an orca's blowhole exhaling in the quiet of the afternoon is a sound you will never forget. Spend your afternoon in the historic town of Friday Harbor, browsing the galleries and eating fresh Dungeness crab right off the boat. It's a place of saltwater mist, madrone trees with peeling red bark, and the kind of peace you can only find at the edge of the continent. Number 3 is the American Alps, North Cascades National Park. This is one of the least visited national parks in the country, which is a crime because it is arguably the most stunning. Because it's so remote, you won't find the crowds of the Grand Canyon or Yellowstone here. Instead, you'll find over 300 glaciers, more than anywhere else in the lower 48 states. The star of the show is Diablo Lake. The water is a surreal, opaque turquoise color, caused by glacial flour, fine rock dust ground down by glaciers that stay suspended in the water and reflects the light. When you see it from the overlook on Highway 20, you'll swear someone poured dye into the lake. It doesn't look real. If you want to really experience the park, hike the Heather Maple Pass Loop. It's a 7-mile trek that takes you along a high ridgeline with 360-degree views of jagged, snow-capped peaks and hidden alpine basins. It's rugged, wild, and breathtakingly beautiful. We've reached number 2, and it's a place that feels like it belongs in a prehistoric era, Olympic National Park. This park is massive and incredibly diverse, but there are 2 spots you absolutely cannot miss. First is the Hoh Rainforest. It's one of the few temperate rainforests in the world, receiving over 12 feet of rain a year. Walking through the Hall of Mosses Trail is like walking into a cathedral of green. Massive Sitka spruces and western hemlocks are draped in thick, flowing curtains of club moss. It's so quiet that the moss actually absorbs the sound. Then drive out to the coast to Ruby Beach. Instead of white sand and palm trees, you'll find rugged sea stacks rising out of the mist, massive cedar drift logs bleached white by the sun, and tide pools teeming with bright purple sea stars and green anemones. It's moody, dramatic, and wild. You half expect to see a dinosaur walk out of the tree line. It's an experience that hits every one of your senses. But if you want to see the true icon of the Northwest, you have to see our number 1.
And finally, the number 1 spot you need to visit in Washington, Mount Rainier National Park. Mount Rainier isn't just a mountain, it's an absolute giant that dominates the entire horizon. At over 14,000 feet, it's the most glaciated peak in the lower 48 and an active volcano. There are 2 main areas to visit, but for the ultimate experience, head to Paradise. The name is not an exaggeration. During the peak of summer, usually late July or August, the subalpine meadows here explode into a carpet of wildflowers, lupine, paintbrush, lilies, and heather in every color of the rainbow. The contrast of the vibrant flowers against the massive, icy blue glaciers of the mountain is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Walk the Skyline Trail. It's a challenging hike, but it takes you right up to the edge of the Nisqually Glacier. You can hear the ice cracking and shifting, a reminder that the mountain is alive. If you want a different perspective, head to the Sunrise side of the park, the highest point reachable by car. At dawn, the mountain turns a fiery pink and gold as it catches the first rays of light. Standing there, above the clouds, looking at the sheer scale of the Cascades stretching out before you, you realize why people in Washington are so obsessed with this peak. It is the undisputed crown jewel of the Pacific Northwest. Whether you're chasing the roar of a 200-foot waterfall, wandering through a moss-covered rainforest, or standing in awe of a massive glacier-clad volcano, Washington is a state that doesn't just show you nature, it pulls you right into the middle of it. It's a place that challenges your sense of scale and rewards your curiosity with views that stay etched in your memory forever. This is one of those destinations that doesn't just give you a vacation, it gives you a new perspective on how beautiful the world can be. It's time to pack your boots and see the evergreen state for yourself.